Welcome, welcome, welcome to another Taking It to the Nub Saturday night. Tonight, I have a really great show with a very special guest, someone I met actually a couple of weeks ago up at the Atlanta Cigar Experience. And my guest today, his name is Peter Gross. And Peter Gross is a longtime cigar aficionado. He'll tell you, we'll talk about it tonight. His journey with cigars began on a trip to Havana almost 20 years ago. He was enjoying a Romeo and Julieta Churchill on the veranda of the Hotel Nacional. That's how it all got started. And while his roots are in Atlanta, go back over a century, Peter and his family have lived around the world in the UK, Ghana, Kenya, and has smoked cigars in more than 50 countries. So I'd like to give us all a big welcome to Peter Gross, the head of products at ATL Cigars. Peter.
Boston Jimmie, how you doing, man?
Seems like I just was talking to you the other day up in Atlanta.
In fact, we were. Yeah, that's right.
I'm so glad you're able to finally get on the show. We were going back and forth for over a month trying to get you on. We got to meet again in Atlanta, and what a great experience. We'll talk a little bit about that on the show. We had such a great time in Atlanta for the short time I was there. But ATL Cigars. ATL, recently new company. You've kind of bonded with some amazing people in the industry to help create the craft. But I'm going to let you talk a little bit about the founding of ATL, your job, and your other two partners and what they do.
Yeah. So the unfortunate part about it is I'm the guy that people least want to see, but that's all right. I'm happy to be here with you. I have two partners, Leroy and Janelle. Leroy's our president, Janelle's our head of marketing. They're a married couple, been married 20 years. We have been friends for 17 of those years. And we have been talking about a cigar brand for 4 or 5 years and rolling our own stuff. It wasn't terrible. I was using kind of a lot of Ometepe Ligero and just kind of, Ometepe with a Steli with Jalapa and add a Havana, wrapper on it and see what happens. And it was pretty fun to do that. And so we started that several years back and said, you know what, let's, what would it take to kind of do this properly? Not rolling our own stuff, obviously, but really doing this. And COVID hit and we just kind of said, screw it. Let's take the plunge. And I'm a big believer in just the screw it approach to entrepreneurship, because this is probably my third company I've started, with partners, and there's something about just getting it going where you just sort of get on the treadmill, man, and there's no way off. You got to just run. And for us, we started early in COVID and met a lot of the industry in Miami, because they all wanted to be in Miami anyway. So set up some partnerships with like a Norsa, a small factory called Tabacalera Hernandez and Esteli, and then Martinez Cigars in New York. And we talked to a lot of other producers as well, and kind of worked on blends, and those are the three we ended up, launching with. And so we launched in January this year. So we're only about, 8-9 months into this at this point. But we're in about 60 shops and, really, really happy with what's happened so far, and just enjoying the ride,
Now, when you and I spoke, the one thing I didn't really ask you about is your whole start around cigars. You should talk about your profile. Started in Havana over 20 years ago. So how did you get into, first of all, how did you get into Havana 20 years ago?
Yeah.
What were you doing there besides smoking cigars? And
yeah,
obviously that was your first time, you said. So go through that experience. That sounds like a fun story.
Yeah, at like 16, 17, I just decided I was going to be a cigar smoker when I turned 18. I do not know to this day why that is. I was I was born in '80, so that was kind of the mid '90s. So the cigar boom was in full effect. I got a subscription Cigar Aficionado for myself for my 18th birthday and a pack of Swisher Sweets. I smoked all 3 of them, and I was like, I know that there's better cigars than this, but at least we started somewhere. And so I booked a trip to Havana for June '98. At the time, I was a freshman in college, and I had a scholarship for actually like church ministry, right? So this, we're going to get back around to some stuff we were talking about when you were in Atlanta. So this scholarship I had to college paid for international experiences of unique expressions of faith. And I was like, well, I want to see what Cuban faith is about. I will say that the faith interest was a secondary interest even at that time to the cigar interest in Havana. But yeah, I decided, let's go to Cuba. So I had some contacts there. I flew through Nassau because I couldn't get a visa.
Yes.
And actually, when I was there, the letter came back to my parents' house saying the visa was denied as I'm in Cuba, right? So they're kind of like thinking I'm going to come home in cuffs or something. So I flew through Nassau, flew to Havana, and went straight to the Hotel Nacional. This is '98. So this is pre-Google, And so you're doing like paper research. You got a sheaf of papers and printouts and stuff. Go straight to Hotel Nacional. I get a box of Ojo de Monterey double Coronas and a single Romeo y Julieta Churchill. And I go up to the veranda and I get a Cuba Libre, rum and Coke, and sit on the veranda. And I'm like, this is the shit, And I didn't have influences, man. I didn't have like friends who were doing it. I don't know. I decided it was going to be my thing. And so that's where it began for me. And I will say that it's been a love affair ever since. I guess it's 23 years now.
Now, smoking your first real cigars were smoking Cubans from Cuba. Or hopefully you got them in a proper place in Hotel Nacional. All right.
At the Casa del Habano downstairs. Yeah, exactly.
All right. So your whole understanding of cigars was based on that originally. How would you compare what you're doing today at ATL to that experience you had there? And would you say that you're trying to have a cigar that can give somebody a similar experience, or are you trying to do something completely different on a different flavor profile?
That's a great question. So the quick answer is the flavors are very different. For me, I smoked mostly Cubans for 15 years. So, I obviously in the late 90s, early 2000s, couldn't get Cubans a lot. So I was kind of coming back to my hometown shops and smoking whatever they had, but it just wasn't the same. And the Cuban products in the late 90s and early 2000s, especially the age stuff, was just phenomenal tobacco. It's different now for reasons we may want to discuss, or at least have some drinks and discuss. But it was great then. And coming back, it was mostly Dominican tobacco in the market in the U.S. at that point. And for me, I just was left with an aftertaste and a certain bitterness to most Dominican products at the time that I just didn't get on Cuban products. So I went to graduate school in the UK and then worked in Africa for 6 years. So I was kind of coming in and out of the States and getting access to Cubans all the time. And so that kind of allowed the habit to continue mostly in Cuba. And then I was in Cuba about 5 years ago, and one of my friends on the trip with me asked our host, what about non-Cuban cigars? And I kind of like punched him, like, man, shut up. There's no good non-Cuban cigars. And the guy goes, no, actually, you need to try Aganorsa and AJ Fernandez out of Nicaragua.
Wow.
And I was like, Aga who? I never heard of these guys. And came back and lit up in Illusione. And it was like, holy mother of God, like, where has this been my whole life? And so I don't know if the cigars, Nicaraguan cigars have had just a rocket ship, been on a rocket ship for 10 years. But I was just a little bit late to the game because of my most of my life kind of living abroad. But when I discovered, Aganorsa, AJ, so many great Nicaraguan products, Plasencia, Padron, it was like this, the quality is there. The flavors are totally different, but that clean finish, the commitment to proper fermentation, the way that they were kind of just willing to sit on the pilones and like let them do what they need to do to be a smooth, flavorful, but kind of clean finished cigar. I said, this is the future for us. So I've been smoking Nicaraguans ever since. And frankly, I was in Paris for the summer this summer, and when all around the shops in France and Germany, and the Cuban stuff, it's just kind of doesn't get me anymore. And I think production quality has slipped. A lot of the good unique vitolas are going to China, but I think Nicaraguan flavor combined with their commitment to kind of doing things the right way process wise, means that Nicaragua is my preference now, as it is for many other people.
Well, there's a lot of Nicaraguan, even Dominicans now, that are beginning to show up in the European market. A lot of it has to do with little people like me, I understand, because they read our blogs and they're seeing all of these interesting cigars that we're all talking about. And then they see Facebook and they just see all these cigars and they're like, how come we don't have these?
Yeah.
And these companies, both big and small, are making the push, open up markets in Europe, and you begin to see more of them on the shelves, and their palate is shifting also, because I think they've recognized in the same thing we just said. Obviously, they get a good share of Cuban cigars there because they can, but as they get more of these, their palate starts going, that's a really good cigar and quite different than what I'm familiar with.
I think that's right. Actually, those shops I was going around to all summer, 2/3 of the inventory was usually Nicaraguan, and so, yeah, I think there's a big opportunity for us. We're going to try to go national before we go international, but there is a big opportunity, and I think part of it, Jimmie, also is about the innovation in the industry. It's a competitive space in the U.S. It's going to be competitive for another, good 5 years out of the boom of last year, where people are just trying to come up with all kinds of new things and, farms people haven't kind of been using before, and vitolas and all kinds of stuff. And, you see the innovation. I smoked a Blackbird Macaw the other day, just a new cigar that came out from those guys. And it's got this gorgeous label with a QR code on it. You take a shot of the QR code and the Macaw comes out in like augmented reality. And you're like, holy crap, this is awesome. And so you compare that with, an Oyo de Monterey Epicure #1, which is a great stick, but it's always going to be there for you, right? You're not going to get anything new. So if you want, to kind of get something new, you're not going to go back to the Oyo Epicure #1, because that's just what it is. But if you want to find something that's new, that's trying, to kind of push the envelope, it's these cigars, man. It's Nicaragua and the newer boutique producers.
Now let's talk about ATL. So ATL, from what you explained to me, was kind of birthed out of friends that sold gave away hot dogs as part of a charity, right? I mean, I love this story because this is what, when people think about the cigar industry and they think about all the craziness that we go through and all the bad press we get in, FDA and all this other crap, we do good things. Hands down, we do good things. And
absolutely,
your company has history in doing missions and helping people. So tell the hot dog story.
Yeah. So Leroy, our president, and I both came out of seminary into Atlanta in 2004. Neither of us wanted to be priests, but we kind of wanted to be trained in that way. Our faith was very important to us, and so we both moved into the hood. And Leroy and Janelle still live there. They've been there for 17 years. And we just wanted to be helpful, just be good neighbors. It wasn't really more intentional than that. But what happened was a house up the street from us is what's called a trap house. And Jimmie, you've never been in a trap house. I hope you never go to a trap house. But, it was like very dominant on the street after dark. And so the only foot traffic on the street, or even, car traffic, was really going to or from the trap house. So we got to do something about this. And so what we did is we went up to the corner across from the trap house on Sunday nights, and we put up a table and a grill and a sign on the telephone pole that said prayer and hot dogs. And, for about a month, they thought we were the cops, but eventually they realized we were all right. And the trap house kind of shut down on Sunday nights, and they would come outside and hang out with us. And then, the young professionals who are gentrifying the neighborhood and the church ladies, and the kids, we're all kind of coming together. And even like the dealers would come to us and like give us a couple bucks and be like, man, I appreciate what y'all doing, man. And you're like, really? Like we're here because of you, you know? But it just became this incredible community. And we weren't sort of out there to save people or to rescue people. We were just out there to be with people. And we ended up having some Thanksgiving dinners, you know, 5 cooked turkeys and 20 pies and sweet tea and lemonade and 200 people, the most diverse group of people you've ever seen in your life. And we thought, you know, there is no business model here, but we love this. And so what Leroy did out of that, our president, was he really developed a passion for the very vulnerable members of our community, mostly involved in work that people don't like to talk about a lot, which is sex work. And, you know, he started going to places and working with people that no one else really wanted to work with. And so, you know, Leroy still to this day, you know, 1 or 2 days a week, puts an RV on a place called Fulton Industrial Boulevard in Atlanta, which is, you know, where the bottom of the barrel on all sides of the equation end up in Atlanta. And he's just there providing services, you know, being a friend, being a neighbor, adjudicating arguments, helping people get driver's licenses and stuff like that, and just kind of being a resource. And, you know, this guy's got a heart of gold. You know, Janelle's obviously been supporting him, doing that for a very long time. And so he's been running that nonprofit. I think for us, how that gets into the cigar game is that we just care a lot about community, and we care a lot about our connections with each other. And Leroy and I, you know, he's African-American, I'm a white guy, Janelle's Filipina. We had this deep bond, and we said, you know, in a fractured city, in a fractured nation, I think we can kind of provide a blueprint for how we get beyond our divided, egoistic, you know, compulsive selves into a more connected whole community. That was really the vision. And so we said, you know, cigar is a great medium through which to begin to build that connection back with one another. You know, let's do it. So that was really the why behind our business.
All right. Which leads us to this shirt that you gave me when I saw you. So I'm not really good with other languages, but I can figure out some of it. But why don't you explain what my shirt says?
Yeah. So dame libertad o dame muerte. So in Spanish, it means give me liberty or give me death. The joke for us is that we have a stick called the Libertad, which is produced at Aganorsa. It references an Outkast song called Liberation, where the last word of that song is Libertad. But so basically it's, you know, give me ATL Libertad or fucking kill me, right? Like that's basically the idea, because we love the cigar so much. So it's kind of a double entendre there.
Very nice. I forgot to ask you, we're both smoking the same cigar today. So the Magic.
That's right.
All right. This is your latest blend. You're getting ready to formally release this at a release party in another week or so. Before you talk about this, do you have some of the other ones in front of you?
I do. I have our.
Yeah, let's go through the first 3 of the line.
Yeah.
I reviewed 1. I got 2 more to review. You're in good trouble. So.
Yeah. So I have the Good Trouble here. This is our kind of mild plus stick. It's produced at Tabacalera Hernandez in Esteli. It's a tiny boutique factory that we met with in Miami last year. And, you know, they just put out a stick that really fit the profile we're looking for. You know, on a mild stick, I don't like mild sticks that don't have any complexity to them, or just are they're kind of just a cigar. You know, if you just want a cigar and it's mild, and you know, I don't like those cigars. So I wanted flavor. And this Good Trouble, which we do in our Robusto, Cañonazo, and Gordo Vitola, has an Ecuadorian Havana wrapper, a double binder from Ometepe in Indonesia, and then Condega, Jalapa, and Esteli fillers. And so 6 regions of leaf in a mild stick, which leads to some complexity and flavor that I think a lot of milder cigars don't have, at least in my experience. And so we thought, you know what, let's launch this as our mild option. And we named it the Good Trouble after John Lewis, who was a civil rights icon and congressman representing Atlanta for 30 years. The Libertad is referencing the shirt that you have. This is made at Aganorsa. And so I will say that this cigar was the first moment I knew we would have a chance to make it as a brand, because the Aganorsa guys, as I've already talked about, I just have so much respect for what they do. I have respect for this business that Eduardo Fernandez has been building for 20 plus years. You know, he was below the radar for so long. He's not a brand guy, Eduardo. He just really cares about great business and great tobacco. And so he was committed to the process. Obviously, helped that he had the resources from the sale of his pizza business in Spain that gave him a few $100 million to sit on. But at the same time, he did build what I consider to be, one of the greatest tobacco production businesses in the world. And so when Aganorsa said yes to do a stick for us, even though we were not even in the market yet, I thought, you know what, this is good. And so I wanted a classic Aganorsa Corojo. The wrapper alone has just a massive amount of flavor on the Libertad. And then a mix of Criollo and Corojo fillers to just give it that really classic Aganorsa flavor, medium plus, it's even medium plus really. And it's kind of my desert island stick. We have a double binder on it. And so the burn line on that one sometimes can be, it was a trade-off for us for flavor. So we kind of chose flavor over a little bit of, it's not a poorly constructed cigar. It doesn't flake away or anything like that. But, but for me, it was all about the flavor. That was what we wanted in the Libertad. And so that's what we got there. The ATL Black, I don't have in front of me, but we initially produced that. That's a fuller body Maduro. It's unique in that, the blend we wanted was fuerte and suave, like strong and smooth, because we felt our city is that way. It's not just going to kick your ass. The city of Atlanta has some soul to it, some smoothness to it. So we wanted a Maduro that was like that. And so we worked with several people, including Aganorsa, to try to get that Maduro blend right. And so the guys at Martinez Cigars in New York, Jesus Martinez, guys I'd met 6-7 years ago, used Grand Reserva filler from Esteli, and then some super full-bodied Jalapa binder, and then the San Andres Maduro wrapper to kind of get the strength there. But that 5-year aged filler just kept the smoothness there throughout. Because I hate when a Maduro devolves into tar and ash in the last third. That's just my personal kind of bugaboo. And so we didn't want that. And so the Black doesn't do that. It stays smooth all the way through. It's maybe not as strong as some Maduro smokers want, but that was the flavor profile that we chose. And I think that it's become one of the fan favorites because it is a kind of a different type of Maduro that you really can't sit on until that last nub. And you're not proving your manhood by doing it. You're really enjoying yourself. Right. And then we have the ATL Magic. Wow. So yeah.
We're going to come back to the ATL Magic in just a moment. I'm going to take a fast shout out to sponsors. And when we come back, we'll talk about ATL Magic and give a little more depth on that because look at that. Look at this cigar. It's absolutely, I love this. The taste is amazing. The chocolate and the sweetness that's coming in this is just killer. Anyway, so let's go. Let's go. A quick shout out to our sponsors here. All right, first sponsor up. Oh, it's ATL Cigars. ATL Cigars is sponsoring us from now to the end of October 31st. And as you're hearing all about it, I won't get into the details of ATL because you can hear about it on this show. But ATL Cigars, while they are going to October 31st, you go to the www.atlcigar.co and you will get 10% off your order if you put in ST Press 10 off code. So if you really want to check out these cigars, you get 10% off by watching this show. And we'll be talking more about this code throughout the next 3 weeks as we continue to run this special for them. So I want to thank ATL for pushing that out for us. The show is also brought to us by Platinum Nova Cigars. Platinum Nova is a family-owned and operated premium cigar company with only the highest vintage tobacco and the most skilled hand workmanship goes into making each Platinum Nova cigar. This results in a timeless blend of art and craftsmanship. The Nova brand and the family's work are a tribute and an honor to their grandfather to always remember him and his infinite passion for the finest cigars. Their love for cigars started with their grandfather, a dedicated master blender and entrepreneur in the cigar industry. So the next time you're looking for an exquisite cigar experience, pick up a Platinum Nova. You can check them out at www.novacigar.com and on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. You can also, they're offering actually 15% off on their line if you use the code Boston Jimmie 15. That's Jimmie with an IE. We are also brought to you by our friends at Tarazona Cigars. Tarazona cigars are passionate, and that's not just a phrase. If you know Eddie Tarazona, you know how passionate he is about the cigar industry. Um, their premium long leaf handmade cigars are each rolled to the highest quality by masterful rollers. He takes pride in the quality and craftsmanship of every cigar that goes into every box of Tarazona and Carabella cigars. The ultimate goal for Tarazona is for you to enjoy a fine cigar with good friends for all your momentous occasions, or just kick back and enjoy a perfect day. You can follow Tarazona Cigars at www.tarazonacigars.com and also on Facebook and Instagram. And lastly, our show today is brought to you by La Jolla del Chan. La Jolla del Chan is a dream come true for husband and wife Gabby El Chan and Liz. They want all hands that work the tobacco leaf in their home country of Puerto Rico to have the same opportunity to expose their products. They call it La Jolla del Chan because they cultivate part of their product, and at some point they want to be able to supply the world with their native tobacco leaf. The pride that Gabby and Liz feel is the same pride of all those who work the tobacco leaf, and for this, they deserve a portal that represents them. They want to thank everyone for supporting their country of Puerto Rico. They say, we will resist. You can follow them at www.lajoladelchan.com and on Instagram and Facebook under El Chan Cigars. I'd like to thank our sponsors. Without them, the show is always a little harder to do. All right. Now, let's talk about this. And because this is going on sale before the 31st, the 10% applies to this one too. So
Absolutely.
I love this cigar. I'm going to say it right here in front of everybody. Anybody who's watching, I love this cigar. When I first smoked this cigar, right off the truck, I was like, wow, there is something special going on in here. What's the blend on this?
Yeah, so the wrapper is San Andres Natural. The binder is Pueblo Nuevo, which is a region just to the west of Condega, just across the mountain range from Condega, but similar leaf to Condega, just different nutrient erosion down the mountain on that side to create a bit of a unique flavor profile. The filler is Pueblo Nuevo, Esteli, and Jalapa. And so, we went with that because the Pueblo provided, again, this flavor that we just hadn't found. And we worked with Luciano Morales and Ace Prime, Tabacalera Pichardo to do this. And, they dominate a lot of the farms in that area. And so we said, you know what, this is a great source for a great cigar that can grow with us, that is unique. It's not going to easily be replicated, and that can really tell the story of ATL beyond. There you go. You lost Ash about an inch and a half, but that's about right.
Nice scented burn cone, nice.
Correct.
Warm.
So these guys just made a great cigar for us that we thought, as a unique cigar, could tell the story of the uniqueness of Atlanta in a way that would resonate beyond our city. So as we grow and we go national, we really wanted a platform from which to talk about our city and talk about why people outside our city should care about our city. And so that's why, the Atl Magic was what we went with.
How many vitolas does this come in?
Single vitola of 6x54. We just wanted to go with kind of the classic vitola that we love. We might do some new vitolas in the new year, but we did a first run of this because we said, you know what, it's just the size we love the most, and let's get that going and see what people think. And so far the reception's been good.
Now, I love the fact that you partnered with Luciano Tabacalera Pichardo, because going back to the history of ATL and the goodness that you all do, Luciano is doing amazing things down in the farmers and helping the farmers down there. We've been running a campaign with him, working with him, getting people to donate to support the vision he has to help grow the farm base. Because while people in the factories are one way, the farmers are usually the least paid, and they live in huts, and a lot of the indigenous Indians that lived in that area for centuries, and they need help. And especially some of the children there, they have all kinds of issues with, or they have autistic issues and other problems where they just need some support. And he's doing that. And I'm glad you're working with him because I think that's a perfect match for your company and his company to go forward.
He told us that he hasn't brought on, a new brand in a while. And I think that was a big reason why we ended up kind of getting in the stable, because we share a lot of the same values. For us, I think that the fact that we kind of love cigars and love people, really mirrored the values that he and Pichardo have. We spent a lot of time together in SLE in August. We got the blend going in April, and so formed our relationship then, and sort of just could tell there was something there. But as we got to know each other more, Luciano and I are both, basketball players. We both have worked for the same French insurance companies. We both kind of travel the world a lot. He's got 3 girls. I have 2 girls. We just really formed a unique bond, I think, and a bond that goes beyond business. But the business was made easier because we had the same vision for where things were going. And he's been a great teacher for us as well, a great mentor. As a newer brand, you can probably smoke 10,000 cigars in 50 countries. It's real different once you start producing your own stuff. And so there's a lot of stuff that we just didn't know. And I think, we've been a little bit more honest about what we don't know, I think, to some manufacturers than a lot of new brands, because new brands think that you got to kind of act like you know everything to kind of get heard. And we that's just not who we are. And so we were honest with Luciano and kind of told him what we knew and what we didn't know. And he kind of filled in the rest. And so when we told him something unique, he didn't hide Pueblo from us. He said, well, I got Pueblo Nuevo, and I think that would really work for this cigar. It's an incredible gift that he didn't just kind of take this straight to Crown Heads, for example, right? Because they're 1,000 times our size. I would have totally understood if he had done that, but he gave it to us, which was a gift, and really created this blend that matched the level of quality and excellence and uniqueness that we were looking for. And so, yeah, I have nothing but great things to say about him. We stayed at his place for a week. We spent all kinds of time through his entire process, and I just love their commitment to quality. They draw test every cigar, for example. Their commitment to fermentation and pilones. One of the things that's happening now, Jimmie, not to pivot the conversation, but because of the demand, right? The industry's up 40% in a year. What we're hearing in SLE is that a lot of manufacturers are saying, you know what, we can short those pilones by a couple of months and kind of get away with it. We can under ferment our tobacco. And they're probably right. They probably can get away with it. I really don't care about just putting out more cigars and making more money if it's not going to be the quality that I want in our product. And he feels the same way. And so, he's got that commitment to kind of waiting out the leaf, waiting out the fermentation process. And that was really important to us to bring them on and to decide to work with them, because a lot of people will make you a cigar. Not everybody will make you the right cigar, make it in the right way. And they were committed to that. As for the social promises that we both have in our brand, we're trying to benefit, a portion of our profits will go to local nonprofits in Atlanta forever. It's a very different population than the indigenous population of Jalapa in northern Nicaragua where they work. But the idea is the same, that we are businesses with responsibilities in these communities and in countries where we operate. Yes, we employ people, but they have needs beyond just that employment check. And so how can we step in with the resources, access, network that we have to make even a greater difference? And for us, it kind of comes down to human dignity. The idea that people are, if you want to be, spiritual about it, made in God's image, if you're not kind of a spiritual person, just believing in the fundamental value of every human person, every human being, that's where it starts for both of us, both Luciano and ATL Cigar Company. And so it's not really that difficult to then start from there and then say, well, given that, what can we now do to enhance the human dignity and the quality of life of the people that are in our network?
Now, the one thing, and that's a beautiful thing, by the way, I'm glad you brought that up, because that, again, this is what a lot of the cigar industry tries to do, is get out there and help people in need. The money doesn't just go into the pocket. The money flows out in many different ways. Going back to the ATL, one thing on this Magic that I really like about this cigar, besides the flavor, it's a salivating cigar.
That's right.
The leaf and the blend that's used in this doesn't give you that dryness. My mouth is constantly salivating. And for those that may not realize that salivation, it creates more flavor because
Absolutely.
you need the saliva to swoosh around, and it just enhances the flavor because it's smacking the taste buds with the saliva. It's absorbing it and then it's moving it through. So this is just I just love the cigar.
Thank you, man.
The freaking burn on that, man. It's just, God, can't wait to review this.
While we talk about it, I want to touch on one more little point, just so that we're not kind of putting ourselves out there as like these monks, just aiming to do good. That's true, but we do aim to do good. But at the same time, there is a business value in taking care of the people that take care of you. The farmers and their families that Luciano's taking care of, they're going to put in that little extra effort, right? They're going to pay that much more attention to the planting process. They're going to pay that much more attention to harvesting. And so there is a return that you get. We don't do it for that reason, but we feel like if you treat people well, they treat you well. It's a basic human maxim. And so there is business value in kind of doing the right thing. And at the same time, at the end of the day, if it comes down to profit or people, I don't know that either Luciano or us would choose profit over people. I think that we very much find them to be symbiotic. And, if you take care of people, the profits will come. And that's certainly what we found as we've grown this year, just trying to be nice, nice to work with. And when you show up at my shop, when I show up at your shop, I don't want you to say, oh God, it's another rep. I want you to have a relationship and have a friendship with me and to believe that I care about your business, because I do. If you succeed, we succeed. And so I think that it's not really that hard, but for whatever reason, I think that in our industry, the stories of the good that a lot of different brands are doing are not really promoted as much as they should be, as you said, and it's something we're trying to push more.
The one thing I can say, and I'll throw a little New York sarcasm out at you, you're just a hard guy to get along with. I had to make sure I said it was sarcasm because otherwise people wouldn't have understood. Right?
Well, likewise, Jimmie, you're you came to Atlanta, you hung out with us, you went to some speakeasies with us.
Oh yeah. Why don't I just drop a picture of that or two? So where's my speakeasy pictures here? Oh my goodness, did I drop them? Yeah. So very good, very good segue. So Peter and I, we were hanging out at the Davidoff Lounge. Peter came in to say hello to me, and we just around 11 o'clock decided that we were going to go and go to this next place called Prince's. And we had the address from Cigar Mike, and we said, okay, we'll meet you guys over there. So we walk out. It's around the corner from the Davidoff Lounge. I mean, it's like literally like around the corner. So we walk out. We go around the corner. I think it's on Far Street, right? And Peter's looking at his thing. And now Peter's the Atlanta guys. I'm just following Peter, right? And he looks up, and there's this nondescript white building with no windows and no sign, and a steel door, and an alleyway, a dark alleyway with a steel staircase, rickety old steel staircase. And we're like, I don't know, man. Is this what the heck's going on? I got my camera with me, and it's 11 o'clock in Atlanta. Right? I don't know where I am. So we walk up. You see, we can't get in upstairs, so we walk out, and we walk through this dark alleyway, and there's a parking lot in the back. And Peter's like me, man. I mean, like kindred spirits, man. You just talk to anybody, somebody, random guy in a parking lot in Atlanta. He goes, hey, do you know what this place Prince's is? The guy goes, yeah, it's right there, that white building. You go up, there's half a flight of stairs, there's a door there. So we walk up the stairs, and we finally knock on the door. The guy answered it. We tell him we're with Cigar Mike, and he lets us in. And this is the place we walk into, right? And it is literally, and we both looked at each other and said, this is some Cigar Mike shit, okay? Because this right here, it's got this beautiful bar, well-stocked spirits, got the TV going. There's Peter having a good time, right? And then there's like these cabinets of wine, this beautiful wine cabinet, this is the upstairs. I walk upstairs. There's another room up there, which is the music room, right? And he's got this beautiful grand piano up there. All right. A little dark up there. Had to turn the lights on. And then you walk, this is the staircase to walk back downstairs. It was just, look at this. And you don't quite grasp what you're looking at here, but this door under the stairwell is about, what, I think 4 feet high. It's like, I don't know what that door is about, but it's a door and it leads somewhere. And there's Cigar Mike. And so we had a great time here. People showed up, we're hanging around. The guy Prince that owns this place, he was so genuine. It was amazing. It was just a little oasis that if you didn't know about it, you'd never be there, right? And I don't know if we could ever just walk back and knock it door. I guess we could. I guess I could knock at the door and he'd remember us, right? Hey, remember me from back last year?
I bet he would.
Right? What a fun time we had.
Yeah, I specifically remember you saying, this feels like the moment where we get shot. And
walking through the alleyway I was like,
for sure,
am I making it out of this alive?
Yeah, for sure. It's funny. Atlanta has this swagger to it that I think is off-putting to some people who aren't from Atlanta, and they kind of don't know what to make of Atlanta. But Atlanta is also the South, so you're going to get Southern hospitality everywhere you go. And unless you're kind of up to no good, you're going to be fine no matter what part of the city you're in. And so I've been to every part of the city. Lived in this what's called the SWATs, Southwest Atlanta, but also a lot of SWAT teams. So we kind of knew what was coming at us. What I love about that story is that Prince Room isn't on Google. It's not even technically a cigar lounge. It's probably not even a legal business, but it's around the corner from Red Phone Booth in Atlanta, from Davidoff Lounge, from Buckhead Cigar, Scottish Tobacco. And Atlanta is just so full of cigar institutions, even ones that aren't listed. It's just a place where you could come to Buckhead for a week alone. You could then go to the Southwest side for a week alone. And you cannot get through all that Atlanta has to offer. At the same time, it's an incredible cigar tourism city. We like to fight Tampa and in Miami for kind of greatest cigar city in the country kind of status, because people don't know that about Atlanta, but they come and they're like, y'all got this and this and this. I was with Desiree from Junk Chicken at a spot called Asseria in the west side of Atlanta, about 30 minutes straight west of downtown. And it was like a Saturday night. There was 300 people in the place at midnight. She was like, it's amazing to me that y'all have a place like this where people come to smoke cigars, good cigars, and it's 50-50 male, female, that you have a place like this is amazing. I said, Desiree, there's 25 places like this right now in Atlanta. It's a place where the cigar is on the ascendancy, where the cigar is a platform for meeting and communicating. And we're just so happy to be in the middle of it.
So now you've gone in with a couple of years here, few years going, and I think you told me you're in 50 lounges or so.
8 months. We're in 60 shops as of yesterday.
60.
And we've been going for 8 months. Yeah.
And how many shops would you say are in Atlanta? 100 plus?
About 120, 130. We have about 45 in Atlanta and about 15 outside. So we're starting to kind of grow nationally. We're in Houston, Memphis, Chicago, the Carolinas, Florida. So we're starting to grow nationally now. And what's interesting about that is that COVID has changed the game for so many people. Zoom is not just a real thing in our day jobs. It's also how cigar retailers want to reach out now and connect with you. So we're making a lot of connections, from this same office with people all over the country who want to bring ATL product into their lounges. We didn't know that would be a real thing, but I think the quality of the cigars has been, what's drawn us out there, and we couldn't be happier about it.
Well, the cigar sells itself, and once it starts selling itself, social media picks up on it. People start talking about it, whether it's a simple post or an hour show like this, or just to get together amongst people. Hey, what are you smoking? I'm smoking an ATL. Hey, I heard about that, but I can't find them. So if somebody, do you guys do any analytics to know whether the cigar area that you're in or not in is asking for ATL cigars?
We do, yeah. So we've shipped so far from our online store to I think 41 states. We're definitely getting a lot of interest outside. A lot of people who are kind of from Atlanta or have a connection to Atlanta but don't live there anymore were our first customers. But beyond that, it's just been word of mouth. And so we're seeing a diversity of customers come to us now. So we're a Black-owned brand, and that's created a lot of interest in the kind of the Black cigar community, kind of looking for new Black-owned brands. But now we're seeing a lot more kind of non-Black smokers to reach out to us as well because of the quality. And so for us, I think we have definitely kind of been riding social media. Without social media, we wouldn't be anywhere where we are. But at the same time, we're trying to make the most of it. And I think it's a new area of growth for a lot of brands that are not utilizing social media like they should. And if they did that, I think they would find a whole new, customer base available to them that's kind of beyond the guys that look like us, that are in and out of cigar shops, all the time. There's a whole new customer base emerging now that I think the industry is going to learn more about in the years to come.
Well, you brought it up a moment ago too. The one thing in Atlanta that I saw in all the shops we were in, I was only in 3, so I can't judge Atlanta by 3, but I can certainly say it was pretty consistent, is the large ratio of male to female cigar smokers. I mean, female cigar smokers, largest growing demographic in the country is female cigar smokers, has been for a while. Shops that cater to them do really good with it, know how to deal with that. Don't treat them like they're not, like they don't know anything, because they know a lot. I mean, the girls that I saw there, I mean, I've known a number of folk from like the Black Smoke Miami events and stuff. And these women know cigars. They smoke cigars that are bolder than the ones that I smoke. But there's a large percentage of them in shops smoking, which you don't see as much in other regions of this country. But it's growing, and I think that's a wonderful thing. It's a shifting demographic, which is good for the industry. But when you look at what you're trying to do and move out through the country, do you get any pushback or concern about the ATL? Okay, the people say, well, it isn't, does it matter to anybody that it's ATL?
Yeah, I'm sure it will. I'm sure that there are people who say, well, great that you're in Atlanta, but but we're good out here. We got our own thing. I think that'll happen. I've been surprised that so many stores have been coming to find us and just saying, hey, it's a great cigar. The base on which most cigar brands are built is, my family came here from Cuba in 1961, and my grandfather had the seed in his pocket, which became and
everybody's got a Cuban seed cigar,
of
right?
course. So we don't have that story. But at the end of the day, do you really care? Unless you are just a huge cigar geek, do you really care about the Fuente family's history? Do you really care about the Padron family's history? I do, because I'm interested. But if you see Padron, it's a good stick. You see Fuente, it's a good stick. And I think ATL is getting to the same level. I think the growth of the boutique industry, which you've had a big hand in, Jimmie, is evidence that the industry is kind of getting away from just the big brands, and there is space for boutiques like us. It's so much easier to launch a small business now than it was 10 years ago. You got great online tools. Our online shopping experience is just as good as what you'd have on Amazon or anything else. That wasn't available 10 years ago. Speed of shipping, social media for production. You get a videographer in SLE, you get a video editor in Bangladesh, and suddenly you're putting out these videos that rival the best brands. And so there's a way in which a smaller brand like us can compete at the highest level. And then you just need some financing to make sure that you're able to produce to keep up with the demand. And so that's been one of our primary challenges this year, is just keeping up with the demand that we have. And so we're stocking up in a big way to kind of come into 2022, the trade shows, and our target is to be in 200 stores by end of next year, nationwide. And so we'll see if we hit it. I'll let you know. But I think that people are open as long as it's a good stick. It doesn't really matter if it's Jimmie cigars or Peter cigars or ATL cigars. If it's good, it's good.
How many boxes of these did you make?
We made 500.
How many you got left?
Yeah, exactly. It's been moving great, and so we've already started our next production run because it's just moving off the shelf. So yeah, we've done about 30,000 cigars sold to this point in our first 8 months. Our target was 25,000 for the first year, and so we've exceeded that, which is great. And we're looking to do 100,000 next year, and yeah, we'll see how close we get.
I didn't ask you this earlier. You explained Good Trouble and Libertad. Why Magic?
Yeah, so we wanted a cigar that would give us a platform to tell the story of our city outside of our city. And so Atlanta, we feel like, is a magical city. 7 out of 10 credit card payments are processed in Atlanta. It's in the top 3 density Fortune 500 companies. It's the busiest airport in the world. It's got a huge kind of fintech hub around Georgia Tech downtown. It's got, it is the mecca for kind of Black-owned entrepreneurs in the country. We have the biggest Hindu temple of its kind outside of India. Like, on and on and on, Atlanta just keeps kind of setting the bar really high in all these different industries. And we wanted to tell that story outside of Atlanta so that we could promote our city, give our city something else to be proud about. And so Atlanta is magic is just the phrase that came to mind for us. At the same time, there are 2 things I need to add. One is, because we have such a high and growing population of female cigar smokers, especially Black female cigar smokers, we wanted to kind of say, look, Black Girl Magic is a real thing. Have the magic of the Black Girl Magic event, and that's going to be a good promotion vehicle for us the next year. There's also a certain notoriety that Atlanta has for, let's just call them gentlemen's clubs, and there is a famous club called Magic City. So we'll have an unofficial after party next week after our formal launch. I won't be there. I don't get to go. I don't want to go. But a lot of our family will. A lot of our community will. And, Magic City is a destination that is known and celebrated around the world.
So speaking of Atlanta and Magic, how do you think your Braves are going to do?
Yeah, well, I was just checking the score earlier. I don't know how they're doing now, but they were up 2-0 in game 2 on the Brewers a minute ago. They lost game 1, kind of a pitcher's duel, but yeah, their offense has been fantastic this year. The pitching started a little tough, and it's kind of improved. I don't know. The hard thing about being an Atlanta sports fan, Jimmie, is we're just used to heartbreak, man. That 28-3 Super Bowl loss to Tom Brady a few years back just seared us, and so it's really hard to kind of get fully behind an Atlanta sports team, but we do our best. Atlanta United won the MLS Cup a couple years back. You're battling it out. I mean, I hope you guys win tonight.
You'll be in the same category as my Red Sox. You'll be 1-1.
Right.
You'll take it back. You're playing in Milwaukee right now, right?
We are, yeah. So if we win
so
games,
you got the same setup and schedule as my Red Sox.
Yeah, split the away series is kind of what you want to do, and if we're able to do that, hopefully
if you could split the away series, okay,
right,
and you take it home for the 2 games at home. You turn up the volume and you can make it happen. I mean, I have all hope that the Red Sox can bury this on Monday, but if they don't, we'll be back, and hopefully we'll have a 5-game series and be a battle to the end. But it would be fun to see the Red Sox and the Braves play a World Series.
That would be fun.
We're connected.
Yeah, we got the Hawks to get to the Eastern Conference Finals last year for the first time in 50 years. There's a lot of reasons to be hopeful, but we're all kind of a little bit hesitant still.
Yeah, you need that magic moment.
That's right.
Like Tampa had, right? Where they win a Stanley Cup Finals, they win a Super Bowl. They didn't win the World Series, but hey, they're trying again this year to make up for that. But hopefully if we can put an end to that run, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Let me take another breakaway. I'm going to talk real briefly about what's new in news and reviews on Stogie Press, especially since I was away for a week and absolutely nothing has happened on Stogie Press. So this is the week before mostly. Enjoyed too much time with my grandchildren. which is important in life to enjoy time with the grandchildren. So just got to cue this up here for a second. So all of those you have kids are great, grandchildren are better. I can tell you that right now, because I could take them and send them home after I jack them up with sugar. We did 2 reviews in this past cycle. The first one was Stallone Nicaraguan cigars. You heard me talk about these. They made my #1 cigar from small company last year. This is their Palomino Robusto. This is a Connecticut. Nicely constructed cigar. This has some really interesting flavor profile. It didn't get any of that, the traditional bitterness in this. There was a little harshness in the front end, but that kind of faded. But it had some butter and some cashew notes in it, some cedar, cocoa cream and dry fruit. It got some espresso. It did get some lemongrass coming in there, nut and pepper. This cigar is a nicely constructed cigar. They are very reasonably priced. The Robusto is $690 and the Toro is $750. It's a U.S. Connecticut shade with Nicaragua binders and fillers, and they come in 20-count boxes. So very nice cigar, very decent burn, little off thing there. They got dinged on, but overall, I like this. It's extremely complex for a Connecticut cigar. So if you are in the Connecticut profile and you want to kind of enhance your palate a little, I would definitely recommend checking one of these out. But get a $5 or something of it and see what you think of it. The second one was the Partagas Limited Reserve Decadus 2020. This came out last year. This is the one that's in the tube. So it's got a wax seal on the bottom. This Vitola is they call it a Dahlia. So it's kind of like a Lonsdale. But this one here, it's an expensive cigar at almost $18 MSRP. But the important thing about this cigar is how it breaks down. There's nothing in this cigar that's less than 12 years old. All right, so it's got a 12-year age Cameroon from the 2008 growing season. It's got a San Andreas binder that's 22 years aged. All right, and it's got Dominican and Mexican San Andreas in the filler. Heavily marbled. It's kind of a rugged looking cigar when you take it out of the tube. And the burn started off really good. So it had a really nice burn on it, right? Comes down, not much problem with the burn. The real issue with this cigar ended up becoming the flavor. You would think all it is aged tobacco would just taste so good. But unfortunately, I smoked 2 of these and it was kind of pasty. It leaves that pasty taste on your palate, which I don't like. It was bitter in the final. It didn't have, surprisingly, in the tube, out of the tube, it didn't have any real pre-light aromas along the barrel of the foot. I was expecting to get some, really nose-blowing aromas, but that didn't exist. And if you want to check one out, I'd say I come in with this one at an 89, unfortunately. But it did have an underlying core of citrus that was running through it. And the burn generally kept the palate moist, except for that part of all that pastiness, which was kind of driving me a little bonkers as I was smoking it. From cigar news, a few things in the news. Drew Estate is shipping their 2021 Undercrown Dojo Dogma limited editions this month. Foundation Cigars announced their David and Goliath. Now, the David made our #1 cigar last year for a medium-sized company. So they've now come out with they're making the same Vitolas, the David and Goliath. These are like little perfectos, fat perfectos, I should say. And they're using a Tabernacle CT Havana Seed 142 blend in this, which is a really nice cigar in itself, and those Coronas that they had. So now they've moved it into a David and Goliath version. JC Newman, we're in October, we're moving through October. I should open this up anyway, just in case you're interested. This is Bricktoberfest time for JC Newman with their Brick House cigars, and you can get involved right now. The retail shops that carry these, if you buy 7 of these, you get a free Bricktoberfest Das Boot Stein, which looks like that. And if they're doing that throughout the run of October, and on social media, they have 4 weeks, 4 prizes. So this week has passed. They would have just given this one away. Week 2, they're giving away a shirt, a case, a boot, and socks. And that's called the Weekender package. And then they get the Cigar Cave package, which has a nice, I believe, an ashtray, a boot, and a sock. And then the Bricktoberfest package, which has a bottle opener, a boot, a shirt, and a sock. And what you do is all you got to do is just post out on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter a picture of yourself smoking a brick house, and just tag it, hashtag Bricktoberfest, and they'll be picking winners every week for this. So if you want to get some cool swag, you can get involved in the JC Newman promotion. And then I don't know how many people are familiar with what's called German engineered cigars. This is a company that has now partnered with Claudio, who was with Mombacho, and they are producing new blends with them. This is the #1 German engineered cigar. So that's you'll see those hitting the shelves. By the way, I don't know if you saw this. This is a really cool ashtray. This is all done using a digital printer, I believe, to make this cool web-looking ashtray. And then ATL, we already talked about that the other week, but ATL announced their ATL Magic. And then lastly, if you go to Taking It to the Nub Season 2, we just posted out the interview we did with Shanika Smith. So if you missed that, that's a really excellent show. She is so incredible. If you live in and around her in the Hampton Roads area in Virginia, you want to run a party or an event, she's the one to go to. She does these spectacular events. She talks all about it in that interview. So those are the news and reviews on Stogie Press this week. We're just about out of time, so it's time for the lightning round. All right, so lightning round, simple questions. For those that are watching, today we're no longer going to have the traditional question I've been running for the last year plus. I've changed my question, and you're going to get this question at the end. But first question is, you've done a lot of travel in your life. Where's the one place you want to go to you haven't been to yet?
Probably Thailand. I want to go to Thailand. I hear the beaches are phenomenal. I love Thai food. There's a certain kind of appeal to Thai culture that I love, and yeah, that's the place, Thailand.
Okay. When it comes to cigars, what is your favorite wrapper?
My favorite wrapper is the Aganorsa Corojo, to be honest. It just got so much flavor. You mentioned that salivation. It's full of that. You can take the Corojo wrapper off the Libertad and have half of the pleasure of the experience in my book. I love that Corojo wrapper.
Did you watch Many Saints of Newark?
I have not seen it yet, no.
Okay, we'll leave it at that. Are you a Sopranos fan?
I am a Sopranos fan. I was in the movie theater and it was out, but I had to go watch The Addams Family 2 with my daughter, so missed out on that
on
one.
HBO Max and watch it.
Correct.
And when you do, contact me and we can have a private discussion about your thoughts on it. So
fantastic.
I'll leave my thoughts alone for this. Last question. Again, new question, okay, which is going to be run from now to probably the end of the year or early next year. Everybody will get this question going on. we've seen a lot of asteroid stuff in the news. We've been really good at tracking these asteroids, but we recently had an asteroid that kind of flew past the Earth that caught us by surprise. All right. It just came around from back of the sun. We didn't even see it till it passed us. Right. And it went between the Earth and the moon. Okay. Which was frightening in the distance. If there was an asteroid that we detected and we know that it is going to slam into the Earth and it's big enough that it's going to annihilate us. In other words, you are not going to survive this. Would you do anything different in the 24 hours that you know about that?
Yeah, I probably would just make sure to hug my kids, just stay with them, stay with my wife, and wait for the end. But it's got to come down to being with the people that you love.
There you go. All right. So that's my new question at the end of the show. It really tells a lot about an individual on what would they do if they knew that death was imminent. There's no escape.
I would also have an ATL Libertad.
Smoke an ATL Libertad. Right. There you go. Okay. With that, this has been great. It's been a fantastic show. We'll see how people tune in. This will go as soon as we finish tonight. I'll post it. I'll post a link out on Facebook. Share the link. People, if you're watching this again, if you're on the Facebook link, just like it, share it. You'll be in the Wheel of Wonderfulness next week. If you're on YouTube, you must comment because YouTube will not let me see who likes or dislikes things. That's their privacy policy. So the only way I know if you want entered is you got to go comment on it. So we'll leave it at that. And another big shout out today, the Wheel of Wonderfulness for we did the Stogie Press family, my subscriber only contest, which is going to be a big package, was won by one of my big followers, Jeff Walsh, here in Florida. So he's going to get a really nice box, and hopefully he'll show what he got, because that's the Easter egg that comes out once in a while in my weekly newsletter. And if you get one and you're a subscriber, we only had 12 people today. We got a lot more than that subscribing to the site, so they get a lot of newsletters go out, but not everybody reads through the whole thing. There's an Easter egg once in a while in there, so check it out. Okay, that's the show. I want to thank you. I'm going to give you the last word, Peter.
Jimmie, just love being with you. Appreciate everything you do for Boutique Cigars, and we'll keep doing our best to put out, cigars that are worth your time.
All right, thank you. Hang in there.